They didn't just drop news, they dropped a grenade. The Indiana Fever locker room went from hype and laughter to a silence so heavy it felt like the air got sucked out. Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull stepped forward, locked eyes with the room, and hit everyone with an announcement about Caitlin Clark that detonated like a bomb in the middle of the season. Fans were stunned, teammates were frozen, and from the second those words left their mouths, the internet hasn't stopped melting down. One moment, it was business as usual. The next, Sophie was standing there with her signature game face, except this time, something was off. That flicker in her eyes, it was the kind you only see when what's coming next is anything but routine. Her voice stayed steady, but every word carried that sharp, loaded tension of someone barely holding it together. She told the room that what they were about to hear wasn't easy, but it needed to be said. Then, without warning, Lexie stepped in, grabbed the mic, and delivered the hit. Caitlin Clark would be stepping away from the court for the foreseeable future, not because of a trade, not because of any locker room feud, and not because of league politics. They said it was simply a personal matter, no details, no timeline, and they made it crystal clear, no questions would be answered. The room froze. The Fever's biggest star was gone, and nobody had answers. Outside, social media detonated instantly, Twitter threads multiplying, Instagram comment sections catching fire, and TikTok clips racking up millions of views before lunch. Fans started micro-analyzing every blink, every shift in tone. Some swore Sophie's lip trembled before she handed over the mic. Others claimed Lexie's voice cracked when she said Caitlin's name. And just like that, the rumor mill went into overdrive. Whispers of behind-the-scenes incidents, personal struggles, and mysterious events during the last away trip started flying. Each theory was bigger and wilder than the one before. But through all the chaos, Sophie and Lexie didn't give an inch. No leaks, no hints. Just polite but unshakable refusals, making it painfully clear they were protecting Caitlin like she was family. This wasn't just a roster update. It was a shockwave, a move that's only pouring gasoline on the fire of speculation about what could push Caitlin Clark, one of the league's most competitive and untouchable stars, to walk away right in the middle of a season where every single game counts. And now, fans are rewinding the tape, convinced the warning signs were hiding in plain sight. They're pointing to recent public appearances where Caitlin's spark seemed just a little dimmer. Her post-game smiles, shorter. Her interviews, more guarded. Those sharp, confident answers she's known for, suddenly replaced with quick, almost dodgy responses. Especially anytime the conversation drifted away from basketball. At first, most people blamed it on the brutal grind of the WNBA schedule, but a few hardcore followers caught moments that, in hindsight, feel like giant red flags. A deep sigh before disappearing into the tunnel after a nail-biting win. A tense exchange with Sophie during practice, caught on camera, quickly laughed off. And that late-night Instagram story, just the words, "Focus on what matters," over a black screen. Back then, it felt cryptic. Now, it feels like a clue. Nobody can say for sure if these moments connect directly to her sudden leave. But the timeline has turned into a conspiracy goldmine. Every theory piles on top of the last, feeding a frenzy the league's PR machine can't contain. And if there's one thing WNBA fans love, it's tearing apart every headline until they find the story hiding underneath. Right now, all signs point to something much bigger brewing beneath the surface. Something only the inner circle truly knows. Which brings us back to Sophie Cunningham. Anyone who's followed her career knows exactly how rare this moment was. Sophie's not just a teammate, she's the loudest, fiercest, most unapologetic enforcer on the roster. She'll take a technical foul without blinking, if it means protecting her team. And when Caitlin Clark joined the Fever, Sophie immediately planted her flag. Anyone coming for Caitlin was going to have to go through her first. That loyalty has earned her cheers from fans and heat from rivals, but it's also made her Caitlin's closest ally on the court, which is why the subtle shake in Sophie's voice during this announcement hit like a gut punch. This wasn't some carefully polished PR speech. This was raw. This was human. The sound of someone who spent an entire season putting her body on the line for Caitlin Clark, now asking the entire world to back off. Respect her, and give her the space she clearly needs. Rewind the past few weeks, and it's clear, Sophie Cunningham has been fighting for Caitlin Clark in ways that go way beyond basketball. She's gone toe-to-toe with critics mocking Caitlin's shooting slump. She's called out officiating she believed was deliberately targeting the rookie. And she even rolled into a tense home game in matching warm-ups with Lexie Hull, a subtle but unmistakable show of unity. That's why her presence at the mic today didn't feel like some assigned PR duty. It felt like a mission. The message, without her ever saying the words, was crystal clear. Whatever Caitlin is going through, Sophie will take the heat, absorb the noise, and stand in the crossfire if she has to. If Sophie brought the fire to this announcement, Lexie Hull brought the weight. She's not the type to chase the spotlight. She's known for her precision on the floor, her discipline in the locker room, and a quiet confidence that lets her game do the talking. Which is why it was such a jolt when she stepped up beside Sophie, mid-sentence, and took the mic. Her voice was calm, but there was a tremor there, the kind you only hear when someone's fighting to keep their emotions from spilling over. For longtime Fever fans, that moment said everything. Lexie and Caitlin's chemistry had been building all season. The kind you catch in those quick glances after a big play, the extra high fives at practice, and the way Lexie was almost always first to meet Caitlin at half court after a game winner. So when Lexie spoke about Caitlin stepping away, it didn't land like a generic, "we support our teammate" soundbite. It felt personal. It felt like a loss. And if you've been paying attention, Lexie's presence in the Fever's identity has been growing week by week, from draining clutch threes to reading defenses like a veteran to those viral pre-game fashion moments with Sophie that had social media buzzing. All of that momentum put on hold, because in this moment, Lexie made it clear, protecting Caitlin Clark comes first. Wins, losses, personal accolades, all of it takes a backseat. And yet, what made the announcement truly unsettling wasn't what Sophie or Lexie said. It was Caitlin Clark's complete silence. In today's era, athletes break their own news. Instagram posts, Twitter statements, even live streams before the team PR can hit send on an official release. But Caitlin, nothing. Not a word. This is the same Caitlin who, just weeks ago, was laughing at Sophie's jokes about her being invisible on social media. The same Caitlin who posted behind-the-scenes glimpses from practice and teased reporters that she'd rather focus on basketball than likes. Back then, it sounded casual. Now, it feels loaded. Like maybe she'd been setting the stage for this step back all along. Without sparking the storm that's now consuming the league, stack her recent interviews side by side and the pattern jumps out. Her answers have been clipped. The trademark spark in her voice, just a little dimmer. And anytime a question even brushed against her personal life, she'd pivot so fast it was like she was guarding more than just the basketball. It all paints the picture of a player carrying something far heavier than the stat sheet could ever show. Inside that press conference, as Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull fielded one question after another, the empty chair at the table said more than either of them could. It was the silent centerpiece, a reminder that whatever Caitlin Clark is dealing with, it's serious enough to pull her away from the game she's built her entire life around. Now, that silence has become the perfect blank canvas for every rumor, theory, and so-called inside source, whisper flooding sports media. And this isn't just about one rookie missing games. This is the rookie, the Fever's offensive anchor, the league's biggest box office draw, the reason ticket sales and TV ratings have been climbing all season. So when the news broke, the aftershocks weren't limited to the fans. Rival teams scrambled to rework game plans. Media outlets ripped up their scripts and rewrote the season's storylines. League officials quietly worried about the playoff race and the momentum they've been riding since opening night. Inside the Fever's own locker room, the ripple effect was just as real. Sophie and Lexie can lead all they want, but without Caitlin, the rotation changes, the spacing changes, and so does the team's confidence. Every practice, every pregame huddle, every tense fourth quarter from here on out will be shaped by her absence. The timing makes the blow even worse. The Fever had just found their rhythm, pulling off key wins that flipped the narrative from rebuilding to contending. That momentum is now dangling by a thread. Fans, analysts, even opposing players are asking the same question. Can they survive without the player the whole system is built around? And yet, there's something defiant in the way the Fever's core is carrying themselves. Sophie and Lexie don't look like players bracing for a collapse. They look like they're gearing up for a fight. They're showing up to practice with extra edge, rallying teammates off camera, and keeping Caitlin's presence alive with small but powerful gestures. Wearing her number on wristbands, posting throwback highlights, sending a message to both fans and critics that they're not giving up. But here's the reality. The Fever's future now depends on something no one outside their inner circle can control. The secrecy around Caitlin's situation has only deepened the intrigue. Is this a quick break? A season-ending blow? Or the start of a bigger shift in her career? Nobody knows. Not the analysts, not the reporters chasing the next headline. And the people who do know, they're not talking. Maybe that's the point. For now, this isn't just a sports story. It's the WNBA's biggest mystery, one built on loyalty, friendship, and an unshakable wall of protection. And whatever the truth is, one thing is certain. Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull have drawn their line in the sand. They're standing with Caitlin Clark through whatever storm she's facing, leaving the rest of us to wait, watch, and wonder how different the league might look when she finally steps back on the court. And now, I want to hear from you. Is this just a temporary break? Or are we watching the start of a much bigger shift in Caitlin Clark's career? Drop your theory in the comments, because the speculation isn't slowing down anytime soon. And I'm reading all of them.